Hello and welcome to With Heart and Soul podcast. You're listening to your hosts, David and Jacky. Hi, David.
Hello.
So David has brought a guest today on the show. So if you could please just introduce your guest.
Yes, so I don't want to blow this man up, but I have known this man since 8th grade. He was like actually one of the first friends I had when I moved from New York to Georgia. And we've kept in touch ever since. We went to freshman year of college together. I was at his wedding. Yeah, so it's been like long years of friendship. This is Julian. He's also in the United States Air Force, stationed in Japan currently. So Julian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, so Jacky, go ahead and tell us what the topic today is.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Julian. So it's
Okay.
6 something in the morning over where Julian's at, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And as David and I are recording this in the US, it's 4 something. So there's a huge time difference. So thank you so much for your time, Julian. And me and Julian are both having beer right now, but he's having a beer at 6 a.m. and I'm having one at 4 p.m. So what are you having?
It's called well, that's a great question. It's a Belgian beer, and it's the only ones they have on base, but I don't know. I think it's called Saint Prior. But
St.
I
Prior?
really love Belgian beers. So I always grab them when I see them.
I like Belgian beers too. They're like light and they're not like too hoppy. So I can see why you like them.
I don't like IPAs,
You
so
don't like IPAs.
no.
I strictly drink IPAs.
Really?
Yeah,
You
I
like
have
the
one right now.
taste?
I do like it. I do.
Wow.
It's the most popular beer.
It,
I just don't like it.
I don't
That's
like beer at all. Like I hate the taste of beer, but
what? What do you
I can deal with the cider. I can deal with a cider. Cider is fine, but IPAs and all these different variations. I mean, how do you guys? The question. I guess I have a question for both of you. Like, how do you guys like the taste? Is it like just something you just got used to, or is just like, man, I just crave the taste of beer.
I'll let Julian answer that.
I wouldn't say I crave it. Let's see. I think once you find one that you like, you get curious about other ones that are like it, and you go from there. So when I was stationed in Florida, they had events almost every weekend, so you could come out and try like craft beer and like local, whiskeys and stuff like that. So then you kind of just go from there. But definitely being in Germany for 3 years, I was, you have to try the beer. Like you have to, that's their staple. So you end up finding what you like and what you don't like. But I wouldn't say I crave it. Like I don't have to drink beer, but it is, I think it's something you can sip on for a while versus the harder stuff, get you to the point quick. So
I think like finding your drink of choice is a journey because I literally never drank. I had my first drink when I was 21. I was afraid of getting drunk. Like I thought it was scary. And then after I got divorced and I started like going out with people and stuff like that, I would have ciders. Like you said, David, you mentioned ciders. So I would have Angry Orchards, and then Angry Orchards, like they fill your tummy too much. And so I would start to feel like really full and I couldn't hang out all night. So I started to try other things, and I tried something that I think is called Land Shark, which is similar to like Corona, just like very light beers, and that was fine. And then I tried IPAs, and they get you drunker faster. So that's pretty much how I got there. But I do enjoy the taste, but it is an acquired taste, just like coffee is an acquired taste.
Yeah, that's true. I don't drink coffee either, so I guess I'm just weird. I'm a weird person.
Oh my God, David, how are we even friends?
The coffee doesn't do nothing for me. Like I don't get the energized feeling like a lot of people get. Like people who wake up like, oh, I need coffee to drink to survive during the day. I was like, no, I just survive. I'm good with water. Like water is
I just survive. I think
that
you're
right there
just high on life.
I just survive. I
I
need to
just
thrive.
survive, I mean, to each his own. Like, I'm not shooting anybody that drinks. I have a lot of friends, as both of you. You guys both like beer, and I know a lot of people who like beer, and I know a lot of people like who love coffee. Like my wife loves coffee, so it's to each his own. I'll put it that way.
David, I
What
want you to
is
try something called Viking's Blood.
Viking's blood.
It's a mead. You know what mead is?
Yeah, I'll never have meat though. I know what it is though.
Yeah. So it's honey, but I think you might like it if you like cider. But it's
Okay.
really strong. Viking's Blood is like 20%.
No.
But
Okay.
it's literally just like a honey drink, but it'll make you feel good.
Okay, I'll
I
write
got
that
that.
down. Yeah, I need to write that down. We might put in the description of the podcast. If you want to get drunk very quickly, get Viking's blood.
What is your
Here
drink of
first.
choice, David?
I'm a tequila person. I love tequila. Like
Tequila. What?
tequila makes me feel great. Like people say, "Oh, I get drunk so quick." I'm like, it makes you feel warm inside. Like I love tequila. Like I can drink tequila all day, really. But
Really?
yes, I can.
Interesting.
I can. But I know a lot of people. It's like I stay away from tequila. I can't do tequila. So
I don't know a thing about tequila, but
what?
you just don't strike me as someone who drinks at all.
I
So
I know you every time I tell you something new, it's like you're just surprised. Like you do this, you're not perfect.
I don't know you, I guess.
Oh no. I have seen David. He loves his margaritas. So actually, that doesn't shock me.
Margaritas.
Yeah, margaritas are great.
I've had them like once or twice.
What? Oh man, I guess we need to switch places. Then I'll try beer more, and you try tequila more, and then
We're actually planning a trip to Atlanta, like for real.
Oh,
So
really? Okay,
Oh.
perfect.
when I come out there, we're gonna trade drinks.
Yes.
I'm gonna pick your beer out, and you have to drink it, and then you
Okay.
pick my margarita, and I have to drink it.
Okay, I'm fine with that. By that time, I should be off of keto, so I'll be able to drink beer. So,
But yeah, to our listeners, it's Friday, so all we could talk about is alcohol right now, and we could go on for like the next hour.
yes.
But we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop with that. We are here to highlight Julian, and we want to hear from him. So hopefully he could wake up a little bit since it's like 6 a.m. over there. So just get ready, all right? So Julian picked our topic for today, and he wants to talk about romance and balancing romance while you have a job, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Well, so basically, I guess I would highlight, just from my viewpoint in the military. So I've only been married for almost 2 years. It came quick.
It did.
So for 2 years, and I've been around married individuals my whole career, obviously, but it was interesting finally stepping into that realm and seeing, asking like, oh, what do you guys do for your spouse? What do you do to balance, work and school and kids and, all that type of stuff. And a lot of them are just like, I go out on my anniversary or I go out on her birthday. That's like the minimum effort. And I'm sitting here saying, oh, I'm looking on, TripAdvisor and all this other stuff, trying to find places for, us to go and do things. So it was kind of eye-opening to find out that a lot of people put more focus on their career because they're like, my spouse likes the money that's coming in and the lifestyle and the locations we get to go to, but they're not worried about the romance side. But it's interesting that I have, my wife who can talk to the spouses, and she's like, these wives want to go out. They still want to go on dates. They want to be, wined and dined and treated, just the effort. And so I'm wondering, where the disconnect comes from. When does it start in relationships? This doesn't have to pertain to the military, but when does it start being more of a focus on the goals versus the individuals? Because in my mind, my career is going to end at some point, with the military. and all I'll have left is my family. And even after that, my daughter will leave and any future kids will leave, and it'll just be me and my wife. So, you have to have that relationship in check. So I was just wondering, what do you all think about, or have you seen something similar in your own experiences?
Hmm. So you've been married for 2 years, you said, right? And how old is your daughter?
She is one.
One. Okay. And you are stationed in Japan right now, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And is your family with you?
Yes.
Okay. And like, do you plan to have them follow you everywhere that you get stationed? Since you have a daughter, like she'll be in school at some point. So have you thought that far or no?
Absolutely. So May will be my 11th year. So typically, we retire at 20. So for me, I leave Japan next May.
Hmm.
So I pretty much have two bases left in my career if I choose to stop at 20. So my daughter will be 9. So I do think about where do I want to end up. Typically, you want to end up at your last assignment where you want to retire or close to it. That way it's an easy transition. You can find jobs while you're in that last space. But it just depends on the assignment. So if I went to Korea, let's say, I wouldn't be able to bring them. So they would go back to Georgia and be there the year that I would be in Korea or something like that. Deployments, obviously, they can't come, but for the most part, you can bring your family with you everywhere. So um, I'm not worried about, my daughter or my wife's situation where we go. Obviously, overseas is a little bit more difficult. There's a language barrier sometimes, and the job market kind of, it's really dependent on what is available in the local community. It's kind of hard to find something in her realm. Overseas, my wife was in real estate, well, property management when we got married. So if we were back in the States, she could easily find something, but overseas, it's a lot more difficult. So
Yeah, gotcha. So, oh, I had another question, but I lost it. Yeah, I lost it. You asked something, David.
So yeah, so I was, as you were talking, fun fact as well, me and Julian got married the same year. So
yes.
yeah.
How?
Yeah. So I definitely understand, like, being 2 years and now you're trying to like figure out like maneuvering, like, okay, we've been together for a while. How do we keep this energy going? Because
Hmm.
just like Julian is saying, like I've seen marriages where either they devote their whole time to the kids and they don't even have time for themselves, or they focus on just getting the task done. Like we have to pay bills, we have to do this, we have to do that, and then they don't take the time to actually appreciate each other. So I told myself that I would never do that. Like literally after we record, me and my wife are going to dinner. So it's just as he's saying, like how to keep the spark going. And I feel like I always see memes like this, or I always see things on social media that says always date, continue dating, treat it like you treat your relationships and your marriage as if you're still trying to date that person, still trying to get to know that person. Because I see, and a lot of times, like, I mean, you've been married before, Jacky, and Julian's married before. Julian's currently married, and it's like Julian's currently married, and it's kind of like people just give up, like keeping the romance going once they have tied the knot, like got married and it got the honeymoon going, and it's like, okay, we did that, so now it's just back to just us chilling. And I'm like, no, we got to keep the sparks going. So I guess the question for you I have for you, Julian, is like, do you have somebody like you want to emulate, like, or have you seen marriages that you have seen like, okay, I want to be like them, or I want to take bits and pieces from them to help along? Or do you feel like it's kind of difficult, especially like, starting off fresh and not having those examples?
I definitely think it's more the second part you
Okay.
said. I really don't have an example to emulate. I do see happy couples that I meet, or now that I have my wife's side of the family, I see examples from her side that work. Especially if I had to think of anyone, her aunt and uncle, they've been together a really long time and gone through a lot together. But from my own side of the family, there's no one that I choose to emulate. If anything, one thing I learned was just in general, becoming a supervisor and whatnot was, don't ever feel like there's bad supervisors. And it threw me out because I was like, of course there's bad supervisors. Like, what do you mean this person, doesn't care about me or something? But the advice I was given was there's nothing bad because it gave you a lesson, it gave you what you don't want to be. So I kind of keep that in mind too with marriages. Like, you're looking on the outside looking in. So I don't really think there's bad marriages unless someone in the marriage says it was bad, but it's not for me to judge. But I do take away bits and pieces from like, okay, this person suggested this, that they were doing with their spouse, or, they gave me a story of something that didn't work for them. So it's something for me to keep in mind with my own relationship. One thing I have a friend in Arizona. He's been like a mentor for me. He's been married for years and has a child as well. And his advice was don't feel like counseling is a punishment or something wrong with it. He's like, he and his wife go to counseling with their church all the time with his pastor. So I actually took advantage of that on base. We have counselors available all the time. And the counselor actually, told me, it was good that I came in before there's an issue. There was no issue present. I just wanted advice. And she said, most of the time, people that come see me, it's too late. Either someone said something, that's gone too far, or there's actions that have happened. So don't ever feel like you can't go ahead and go talk to someone about how you're feeling. And then after we spoke, she was like, do you want to bring your wife in? And I was like, sure, And so then we all had a group session of what could be done. And what the outcome was, my daughter's 1 year old. So, last year was all about figuring out how to be a parent. But the counselor said at some point you need to detach, you need to find some way to be comfortable leaving her for a few hours and having that time with yourselves, because your relationship is just as important as she is. And that was really hard for my wife because, she's always attached to the hip. She's with her all day. And I was like, look, we got all these friends here, my supervisors, whatnot. They have, 4 or 5 kids in their house. They're more than happy to watch her. So just getting her comfortable with someone having her for 2 to 3 hours really was monumental.
So what do you think is harder to keep the romance alive in your relationship? Is it parenting or is it your job? I know it's probably both, but like if you had to pick one that was harder, which one would it be?
Parenting.
100%. Yeah. I feel like I never actually like mastered that before I got divorced, but the reason why my marriage ended is because it was an abusive relationship, not necessarily because of parenting. But looking back on it, I can see how for me as the wife, parenting took over for me. Like all I cared about was them. And I think that fathers get jealous of that. And I think that they don't know how to recognize that and they don't know how to express that. Like the child essentially takes their place, like your wife, all her attention was on you, and then she gives birth and now she's just paying attention to your child. And maybe to an extent, you think that that makes you bad because you feel that way because it's your child and you should feel the same way, but you don't, and that's okay. So do you feel like in any way, do you think that you relate to that? Like, are you jealous that her attention went there, or do you feel neglected on any level?
No, so the big thing for me was like I'm always proud to see how my wife and daughter interact and that they can have a relationship, because my mom was a single mother, and as much as she may have wanted to stay home or something like that, the reality is many of us have to go to work. So you're going to daycare. Like my sister, when she was born, we're 10 years apart. she was in the daycare like as soon as my mom had to go back to work. So not having to do that for my own daughter is monumental, and I love it. But I think what the issue I had wasn't jealousy, it was more like space, because in my mind, at a certain point, my daughter should have been in her room. She has a crib. I'm like, we have to create the detachment, because she was always in our bed. And even our counselor, she brought that up. She said, look, the kids got to go. Sorry. I know you love her, but she's fine. She's, we have a baby cam. You can see everything. Just create the detachment at, that point in the night. And that was hard for my wife. It was really hard, because she's just like, what if something's wrong? What if this, what if that? She needs to eat during the night. It's much easier if she's right there. And I'm sitting here like, I don't want to roll over and have this, midget in my face. So let's move her to her own room. And it took time, but now we actually have her on a good schedule. I think about 8 o'clock every night, she goes to her room and she has a fit, but she knocks out. So it gives us our own time. But I was never jealous.
Good. I think all of that is very normal. Like all of that, like on her behalf and yours too. That's very normal. Like I experienced that, and I know a lot of parents experience that. And I think it's harder for mothers, of course, because the child grows inside of her, and from the moment the child is conceived, they're not separated. But you as a father, you don't have that connection to the child until she comes out. And even when you do connect with her, it will never be the way that her mother connects with her, and that's okay. That's just human. But it's harder for you to understand, like, why can't you just put her in her crib because I just want to lay with you. So I totally get that. I think that all of that is 100% normal, and I'm glad that it's gotten better for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I did have a question for you, Julian. So as far as the romance part, like, have you like suggested different ideas? And if so, have you been like turned down from some ideas, like, oh, I don't want to do this right now, or oh, I'm not really into it? Is your creativity level kind of stunted by those decisions, or do you feel like your wife right now is like open to doing the dating and the romance and stuff like that?
Ooh, that's a good question. Absolutely, it's stunted. So, like I said, she's comfortable now leaving. It's funny that you bring that up, because last Friday actually was the first date night we had where we could leave my daughter with someone, not being in Georgia. So in Georgia, we can go out all the time. Her mom's there, family's there. That's no issue. But here, my wife had to get to the point where she was comfortable with someone not family watching her for a while. So typically our dates are we bring our daughter with us. So it's cool, but at the same time, like, while you all are talking about your feelings and romance and stuff, somebody tapping on your shoulder saying, I need my diaper changed, So it was kind of freeing to be able to just go off the base and go downtown and actually just explore. I even took her to an arcade just to see what that would be like, and she actually loved it. And I was surprised because my wife likes like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, but I was really surprised that she got into the arcade thing, because she sees me come home with these big Japanese Pokemon plushies and stuff that I'm winning when we go out as an office. But I was surprised to see her actually get into it and blow her money on trying to get some Pikachu stuffed animal. So but in terms of, has she ever turned me down on something? No, she's open to anything, but at the same time, my daughter's always in the back of her mind, So it's always, is this child friendly? Can we bring the stroller there? Can we do this? Can we do that? How far away is it if we do leave her with someone? So even now we're planning our anniversary, and it's like, where are we going? Where can we accommodate? all three of us and whatnot. So it's definitely things to keep in mind.
Mm.
I find that we don't have time for things. We have to make time for them. Like time doesn't exist. I always hear like people want to develop different things in their life, whether it's their relationship or they want to work out. But a thing that people constantly say is, I don't have time. But I have realized myself with like wanting to do different things that time isn't going to present itself to me. You have to literally make it. So I think when it comes to this situation with wanting to make sure that you are connecting with your partner, whether it is because you have a child or because you work full time, it's not a matter of time. You literally have to carve it out. You have to make the time. It's not going to present itself to you.
Absolutely. So like I said, last Friday, I
Mhm.
think Wednesday or Tuesday, I literally said, I want to go on a date Friday. And she started scrambling the whole week. Like, who can watch her? Who's available? Who am I not imposing on? And so it was nice that I didn't have to figure out that piece. I just had to figure out the date, but
Mhm.
it's I just say it's intentional. You know, you have to be intentional with it and you can't backpedal. You know, you can't say, I want you to free up time. And then when it comes, you're like, oh, I'm tired. You know, I'd rather just stay home. And, you know,
Yeah.
all this effort was put into it. So just being conscious of the effort and being intentional, I think are key.
Mhm. Do you think that living on base creates like any resentment because she's sacrificing a lot for you and for what you're choosing to do as a career? So do you think that that creates like anything in your relationship?
No, the only thing I will say that has been brought up is the fact that she doesn't have any family here. So
Mhm.
my wife and I are complete opposites in that regard. I was raised by my mom. My dad was came later on in my life, but my mom was very independent and raised me to be very independent. So I don't ever feel like I need someone to make me feel welcome or like I need to rely on them, family,
Mhm.
friends, or whatever. I mean, I know I got David always, but uh my wife was complete opposite. Her mom is a nurse, so she constantly had to go to family members' houses and she was always around her cousins and things like that. So
Mhm.
she did bring up, you know, it gets hard when you don't have that family outlet readily available. And my
Mhm.
wife never moved, so that was a big difference too. I moved until I was in seventh or eighth grade when I met David. I moved almost every year, and people thought I was a military brat, but my mom just was like, "Who's paying me more money across the nation?" So she would just move. But my wife never left Georgia. Like this is the first time she's ever left Georgia in a move. So it was asking a lot for the change, and I could tell her what was going to happen, but you know, she actually had to experience herself. But she definitely has brought up that not having her family 1 hour down the road, you know, hits pretty hard. So all I can tell her is, you know, FaceTime is available.
Mhm.
She's free to go home anytime she wants. That's a nice thing about being in the military is Japan closes borders, but we can come and go as needed. But you know, I was like, go home. If you ever feel like, you know, you need to go home, I'm perfectly fine here by myself if you need to take a break. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
And
That's very.
I no, I didn't want to lose sight on the fact that you actually went to counseling. I think that was very I'm very shocked by that as well. Like you decided like, hey, let me go to counseling for myself, and then also let's talk about how I can be a better husband and be a better provider to the family. And then you brought your wife as well to counseling, and as you said, it wasn't like you didn't go to counseling because there was something wrong. Is you went to counseling to see how things can get better, and I think that's important because yeah, counseling and mental health is big in the community right now and in the world as well, but it's powerful when you're saying, hey, I just wanted to go get help to make things better.
Right.
And I hope people that are listening and watching can see that it's okay to go talk to somebody. if you need some guidance. And especially for us, especially if you listen to podcasts or you're listening to different people talking things of that nature, watching YouTube, I think that's very important as well, because, you know, we all need help, especially when we're trying to figure out things that are new to us in our lives as well. So, but Jacky, I had a question for you.
Me? Yeah.
Yes, for you. You have two sons as well, and you have a wonderful fiance, my friend Jacky. How do you keep the romance going, especially when your kids are with you, and you know you and Jacky want to keep the relationship going as well? So how do you keep the romance going?
So, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think I've ever figured it out, and I still don't. So, because I'm divorced and my kids go with their dad for 1 week and they're with me for 1 week, I feel like that's the only reason why anything works out for me. I don't know what I would do if they were with us all the time, because the weeks that they are with us, Jacky and I always talk about how, like, we barely talk to each other, we barely saw each other because everything is about the kids. And my kids are 6 and 9, so they are much older, but they're still like a handful. They have homework. I have to make them dinner. They have to take a shower. They have to go to bed early. So the whole time, like the whole week that they're with us, I'm doing all of that. And she's just doing whatever else. I don't know. Like she helps, but we are in the same home, but we are functioning separately. Like she's doing things like that way, and I'm doing things over here. And then we see each other in bed at bedtime, and we just go to sleep because we're exhausted. So I honestly, I wish I could help parents that were parents full time, but I feel like I have not figured that out. Like I don't, because as soon as you have children in your marriage, they come first. And it's just like, what do you do?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess I'm the only person that doesn't have a child on the podcast.
And don't do it.
No, do
Don't do it.
I mean, trust me. As you know, I'm from the African culture, and if you don't know, if you haven't met someone that's African, as soon as you get married, within a couple months they have kids, and I literally get questioned every Sunday. Where's the kids coming? Where's the kids coming? Oh, we haven't seen your wife in a while. Is she pregnant? Like that's why you haven't seen us. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I do think about stuff like this, especially when we are thinking about having children next year. About the dynamic of, you know, your kids are important, your children are important. Of course, you need time for development. They need time for you guys to be there. And of course, I don't want to miss out any of those moments. But at the same time, like, you married that person for a reason. You married that person because you wanted to spend the rest of your life with that person. And to spend the rest of their life with that person, you have to keep the relationship going, because I've always learned and always kept this to my heart, that if you don't give that person attention and you don't feed into that person, you're not providing that love language that they really need, and they're going to seek it from somebody else. I mean, consciously or unconsciously, you can't help it. We see so many marriages that you think is going to last forever, and then boom, oh, they weren't providing for me in the marriage, or things weren't always that great. So I'm that person, like, I gotta make sure I'm making sure that she's happy before she doesn't find somebody in these streets and that provides something better that I can't provide. So it is a struggle. It's definitely a struggle that to keep the romance going. I guess the question for both of you is, what helpful tips do you have for people listening? Like what has worked? What has worked so far? What has definitely worked? I guess Julian, we'll start with you.
In terms of dating?
Yeah, the romance and dating and the work life, keeping it all not balanced, but harmonized.
Yeah, alive. Yeah.
Yeah, keeping it alive. Yeah.
I'd say transparency. You know, there's definitely, I mean, I'm glad that I've known my wife since I was 14. So that was a blessing too. We didn't date the whole time, obviously, but she knows me well enough to where I can be transparent and say, look, you know, I just want to eat dinner and go to sleep, or I got to get up and go to the gym or do like run in the morning. So I'm probably going to bed early. So there's zero expectations pretty much during the week. I'm not opposed to setting aside a day if that's what she wants. But for the most part, she knows Monday through Friday, well, Thursday, you know, I have a pretty set schedule and I might have to stay late. I might have to go in early. So there's not many expectations in terms of romance in that regard. But um, definitely just the effort. I do keep that in mind. So I keep I guess a split. So I'm never like the type that's like, I see some of my troops, like I have one right now, for example, he's got a new girlfriend. Happy for him. Hope it works out. You know, it's kind of crazy to me dating someone 2 months and you're already talking about marriage because you don't know where you're getting stationed next. Like that's pretty common for us and it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the transition for him is whereas he used to say like, oh guys, we can hang out Friday or Saturday, but you know, try to work it with his girlfriend. Now it's every weekend this man is gone. Like you can't count on him to be around at all because he's trying to see his girl. And I get it, you know, it's that brand new stage. But for me, I always keep in mind, like, okay, if I go out Friday with the boys, Saturday, Sunday is for my wife, and vice versa. If I stay home Friday, I might go somewhere Saturday for a couple hours. But for me, that detachment allows her to do stuff as well. But more importantly, the time that I'm at home, I want her to go do stuff. So there's been times where the romance was I scheduled a spa day for her or to go get her nails done or go do something for yourself because she won't do it. You know, she's thinking about me, she's thinking about my daughter.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, 10 a.m., you got somewhere to be. I got, you know, her, we're good to go. And it's really appreciated because she wouldn't have thought to do it for herself, you know, because she's like, I don't want to be a burden on you. I don't want to cost you money, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, I'm actually rewarding myself because if you're relaxed and you're chill, then that makes everybody chill, you know? So just things like that.
I love that. You sound like a good man and a good husband.
Well, thank you, Jacky.
But yes, I do have some things. So we actually have been going to couples therapy. And it feels like kind of weird because just like David said, like it feels weird like seeking help because it's like if you're seeking help, like what are we even doing? Why are we even together if we need to get help? But it's not that weird. I think that every couple that is married needs to like seek that help to learn how to communicate with your partner because your partner is the person that you're with most of the time. They're the person that you need to understand at the deepest level. So you might as well like do everything that you can so that you guys can understand each other best. So the therapist suggested a book to us and it's called Communication in Marriage. Um, so we did order that book and we were reading it. It's very like it's written like very simple, like it's not hard to understand. So there were some questions in the book and we went through the questions actually last night and it helped a lot. And a lot of the questions were like us asking each other, like, how do you feel respected? How do you feel disrespected? What do I do that makes you feel most loved? And those are questions that I never even thought about asking her. But I think that it's important to know because then you can do those things more. Like even if your child is taking up like 90% of your day, you can still do little things that make your partner feel loved. So one thing that we both said that make us feel most loved is when we do things for each other. Like I said to her that it makes me feel most loved when she helps me. And most importantly when she helps me with my kids because that makes me feel like she sees me as a mother. I'm not just me, I'm a mom too. And I have dated people after my marriage where I felt like they thought I was just me. Like I'm not just me, I'm my kids too. So if you don't care about my kids, then you don't truly care about me. So I feel most loved when she helps me with the kids. And I think that that would be the same, that would ring true if I was with their father as well.
Yeah, I like both of them. I think those are amazing. For me, I guess I didn't talk about my relationship too much during the podcast, but as Julian alluded to a little bit earlier, like I travel a lot. I travel a lot. And my wife travels too. We do the same job, but different companies, but I travel obviously way more than she does. And for me, the one thing I tell myself is that what did I do while I was dating for her to even like me and to be like, yes, I'll take this ring and marry me. So I still, when I'm still traveling, I still text her in the morning. I say, good morning, beautiful, good morning, queen, or whatever it is. When I'm about to get on the plane, hey, I'm about to take off. I'll call you when I get to the hotel. Hey, I'm on the plane. I'll call you when I get back to my car, just to make sure she knows where I am, and things like that. And I think the biggest thing is just keep the communication going. Like, just because I'm not there, my presence doesn't mean it. My presence doesn't have to not be there either. Like, keep my presence there. Like, I'm texting you, I'm calling you, I'm available. I don't just go off the grid when you don't see me. Like, I think that's one thing I try to keep going. And as I talked about before in like a lot of episodes ago, but Gary Chapman's book, 5 Love Languages, I took that book seriously. Like, okay, what is something that she truly enjoys and what's her love language? So just like you and Jacky both said that you guys like acts of service. So for her, she loves that as well. Like, if I need to take the dog out when she doesn't feel like going, or maybe picking up something, some food for her at the store, or things like that, and then of that nature, just making sure that she feels like she doesn't have to go and do it, or she wants to relax, and hey, I'm going to take care of this for you so you don't have to do it. I mean, I don't mind doing it as long as it makes her happy or adds on to her happiness. I'm all for it. So just take the time to get to know the person that you're with. I think that's the biggest thing, because sometimes we step into relationships and be like, oh, this person's beautiful, this person's handsome, and I'm with this person and that's it. No, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you have to stop working. We are beings, we're human beings, and we have so many layers in ourselves. So we have to figure out that person and who that person is continuously, just to make sure that you understand that person the best you can. I tell her this. I don't think I'm gonna ever understand you completely, but at least I'm gonna try my best to understand you the best I can. So that's what I do. So
I think Jacky said it best, because that was one thing my wife said while she was pregnant, actually. The separation between being a mother and a wife, or a partner, or whatever you are at the time in your relationship, she said one of her only regrets, like, she has no regrets about being married, or our daughter is a blessing, but she said, I wish we had taken the time to just be together longer. Because I mean, David, you were aware, pretty much got married, found out the week after she was pregnant. So it was real quick.
Yeah.
That transition. And right when we found out she was pregnant, they told me I could go ahead and come to Japan. So I had to leave her behind. But once she got here to Japan with me, she was 3-4 months pregnant. So, she was already feeling the effects. And she said that was her only thing. If we had spent more time just as a couple and being able to do things, because while she was pregnant, I was here for her, but there were times where I was like, well, my office is going out downtown to do this, so I'm going to be gone for a couple hours. And she's sitting here, on the couch holding her stomach, like, well, let me know what you need, because she can't go and be comfortable. So I do think people should keep that in mind, that the child is going to make a huge difference regardless. But if you need that time to focus on learning each other, take it. I think you and Sierra are doing a great job with, making sure you both are ready for your baby before you just jump into it, regardless of people's expectations, because you can't take it back once you do it. And I will tell you, her focus will completely shift. Like, people can tell you about it, people can warn you. It is real. And on top of that, you have to deal with her own, issues that may take place, maybe afterwards, her own personal feelings about herself. So it's trifold at the same time, but you can't lose that core. The same things you're doing right now will still make her happy after the transition. It's just a matter of, I think the biggest lesson for me was patience. I have zero expectations every day of my wife. I just let her know that she's doing a great job regardless, because I think you kind of set yourself up for failure if you're sitting here like, well, it's been a year since you had a baby. Why aren't you back the way you were? I think that's setting yourself up for huge failure.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, for one, you're a dude, who are you to tell a woman about herself? But two, you're not a doctor, you're not a therapist, you're not anything, certified. So you can't tell someone how to feel and when they're ready for, or, about their relationship or how they feel about themselves. So just keep all that in mind and just be supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to start thinking about your wife as a mother and not just a wife. And I think that's what I got from that. And also when you said, like you should look different, that totally triggered me. But like in my last relationship, like my ex-husband used to say like, oh, you have stretch marks and things like that. And I just always felt like very insecure. So even like dating after him, I was just always like, I'm always going to look like a mom. Like I have stretch marks, they're not going anywhere. And that was very uncomfortable just because of all the comments that he made. Like there's nothing you can do about stretch marks. They're genetic. There's nothing you can do. You can get the expensive oil, you can do everything that you possibly can, but if your mother had them and her mother had them, you're going to get them. So if you want to make your wife a mother, you can't like ask her not to get stretch marks. That's unrealistic.
Yeah, I think both of you said it perfectly about respect. Like if you respect that person while you're dating, you should respect that person when you're married and respect that person when you guys have children. I think that's the biggest thing as well. I think one of my last questions for both of you, I guess, is like, you have any, are you kind of cautious about romance in the future? Do you feel like it's going to work out, or do you still have reservations like, dang, am I doing enough? Is this something that I need to do more? Or is it like, okay, I know what the romance is, I just have to make sure it happens?
My only concern would be we do want more children. So planning out, so my wife, I think, has, hesitations about, she's like, I'm just getting back into my groove. I just got my body back. And I'm finally getting, our daughter off of, milk. She's eating solid foods and whatnot. And then you want me to do it all over again. And I understand those hesitations 100%, because seeing this, I'm like, man, that was just a year and a half or so. So I would say that the romance will definitely take a hit at that aspect. But if anything, I'm more aware now of what she can do at what stages. So I think with the first child, we're really hesitant. You don't want to go anywhere, push yourself too hard. Oh, take rest, do this. But now that I know, like, okay, she can still go out, she can still, feel like she's looks good, regardless of being pregnant or whatnot. Still doing things that can, accommodate that. And plus we've learned, like, date nights and romance, are very flexible. So maybe date night is, like Jacky said, playing, what you were talking about the book, but we actually have a card game similar to that, the book's questions, where you sit in front of each other and you ask each other questions and whatnot. So you can make things fun to still have the romance, but it doesn't always have to be, I took you to dinner, or I wined and dined you, or we went on a trip. So that'd be the only thing I could keep in mind, for the future.
Yeah, I agree. You have to just be intentional. And even if you're not feeling it, you have to do certain things, because when you choose to commit to someone, commitment is a choice on a daily basis. It's not like being in love is something that you feel naturally once you've been with someone for so long. It starts to become a choice. So every single day you have to choose that person, and you have to do certain things and go out of your way, even if you don't feel it inside. Like I think in the beginning, everything feels natural. Like David said, like sending that good morning beautiful text, like that's just something you want to do. But once you've been with her for so long and she's getting on your damn nerves, you don't really want to send that text, but it's just something that you have to do. Not like it's a chore or anything, but if you want to nurture the relationship and keep it, you have to continue to do these things, because if not, you're going to be texting good morning beautiful to a bunch of random women for the rest of your life, and it's just going to be wasting your time, so these are things that you just have to do. And even if you're too tired to go on a date night, you have to carve out the time.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Any final thoughts? Julian, I hope that we have helped you on the quest of romance and work. And I hope that, of course, people who are listening and watching have definitely have learned something as well, because all three of us are still trying to make the best of it, and we're learning as we go. We're definitely learning as we go. Anything else you guys want to say before we sign off?
I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be on here. I've been watching. I've seen you, David, over the years, so I think this is great that you're putting, that energy that you've always had of being positive towards something that can help others. And you took my advice. I don't know if people knew. I told him.
Yes, I forgot to say that. So Jacky, remember I told you there was a friend that told me that I should have started a podcast years, and I just never did it. That's Julian. That's him. He said he had a dream one day of me doing a podcast, and I was like, "What? I can't do a podcast. I don't know about that podcast life." And then, lo and behold, not long and behold. Lo and behold, she got on me on that, but that's a whole nother conversation. But lo and behold, we're here.
Yeah.
And we're happy that I was actually able to bring you on the podcast. So that's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know why he picked me, but that's cool.
Hey, we work good together.
You guys are great.
Yeah, and we got a lot of positive feedback, and we'll continue to have positive feedback. So we're doing something right. So, but yeah, I guess with that being said, thank you everyone for listening and watching with Heart and Soul Podcast. Thank you again, Julian, for taking the time out early in the morning in Japan to come talk to us. We do appreciate it. And with that being said, please follow us on Instagram with Heart and Soul Podcast. We're on YouTube with Heart and Soul Podcast. If you want to see our lovely faces, like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. Jacky's Awesome Business. See where we land. They take clothes that people have thrown away and they bring them back to life. They do amazing work. Jacky told me yesterday, she said my order is coming, so I'm excited about that. Can't wait to wear the With Heart and Soul Podcast merch as well. They're on Etsy, so go to etsy.com and find them on there. Jacky's personal Instagram page is Love, Peace, and Kindness. Follow her on there. She posts amazing stuff about emotional abuse and also some positive things as well. My business is Collab Coaching. I'm a relationship coach, as you guys know. I'm on Facebook, Collab Coaching, Instagram, Collab Coaching, YouTube, Collab Coaching. You could type in COLAB Coaching, like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my series. I'm currently doing a series on emotional cheating, and for some reason, people just love it. I don't know what's going on. People, I guess they're going through it, and SoundCloud. We're also on SoundCloud, and we're also on any podcast station you could think of. If you don't see us on there, tell us so we could go ahead and add ourselves on there as well. So like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode that we're gonna do, that we're gonna drop next week. And with that being said, thank you guys for listening and watching, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.